I encourage you to try these problems on your own before you watch the video. I am going to go rather quickly. Feel free to pause the video at any time if you need more time to write, or you can also go back and rewatch a certain question if you didn't get it the first time. All right, so here we go. Multiply the followings. We have two binomials, so we're going to do the lobster claw. 3x times 6x, put ones right here. So 3 times 6 is 18, and it becomes x squared. 3x times negative 2, positive times a negative is a negative, so you get negative 6x. Then you do the bottom claw. 7 times 6 is 42x, and 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. Then you need to combine like terms. So you drop down the 18x squared. Negative 6 plus 42 is 36x. And then you drop down the minus 14. Notice when you add those, it just stays a x. When you're adding, you absolutely do not disturb the exponents. Number 2, factor. Whenever you factor, you multiply a and c, you do the rainbow. 4 times 9 is 36. What are the combinations that give me 36? 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. All right, I'm going to add those together. Now I'm adding them. So I get these. I am looking for negative 12. I'm looking for negative 12. This is a positive 12. So I need negative 6 and negative 6. And negative times a negative is a positive, but when you add them, it does give you negative 12. Your next step is to divide by a. This is your a value. So divide these by a, and these reduce. Negative 3 over 2, negative 3 over 2. They both divide by 2. They reduce. When you're writing your answer, you do bottoms up, bottoms up. So you do 2x minus 3, and the other one is the same thing, 2x minus 3. It's fine to leave your answer like that. You may also see the answer like that if you were taking a multiple choice test. So the bottom number goes in front, and then the minus 3 at the back. Number 3, what are the roots of x squared plus 8x plus 15? Roots also mean the x-intercepts, the solutions, and the zeros. All those words mean the same thing. Step 1 is to factor. Step 1 is to factor. So I multiply my a and c again. So step 1 is to factor. 1 times 15 is 15. So what are things that multiply to give me 15? 1 and 15, 3 and 5. That adds to give me 16. That adds to give me 8. And I want it to give me 8. Divide by your a value, which in this case is 1. 3 divided by 1 is 3. 5 divided by 1 is 5. And so I put those in parentheses. So I get x plus 3 because it's positive, and x plus 5. Step 2 is to set equal to 0 and solve. Step 2 is to set equal to 0 and solve. So I'm going to set x plus 3 equal to 0 and x plus 5 equal to 0. Move the 3 over, you get negative 3. Move the 5 over, you would subtract it, and that's how you get negative 5. So negative 3 and negative 5 are the roots. Which direction does the graph of the parabola open for? I look in front and I see a negative. That's going to make it open down. You are also allowed to use Desmos on this one. So if you type in this problem, negative 8x squared plus 6x plus 14, you see that it does open down. It's like a frowny face. It opens down. Okay. Number 5, which expression is equal to x plus 8 squared? Remember, squared means to write it twice. Write it twice. So I have x plus 8 times x plus 8, and then I'm going to lobster claw it. X times x is x squared. X times 8 is 8x. 8 times x is 8x. 8 times 8 is 64. And then you combine like terms. So then you have x squared plus 16x plus 64, which is b. Number 6, completely factor. Completely factor. When you see completely factor, that means there's going to be a GCF and then another step. There's going to be a GCF and then another step. What is the GCF of 10x squared and negative 160? What goes into both of those? 10 goes into both of those. So I'm left with x squared minus 16. And then this has 2 parts. So it's difference of squares. 2 sets of parentheses, x and x. What multiplies to give you 16? 4 times 4. And remember, those have to match. Can't do 8 and 2. You have to pick the ones that match. 4 times 4 gives you 16. And your signs are going to be different. Don't forget to put the 10 out front. So that's your answer. 10, x plus 4, and x minus 4. Number 7, which is the graph of the function g of x equals x squared minus 2x minus 8. You can use Desmos. Before I put it in Desmos, I am going to talk to you about a few things. I know that in front is a positive, so I know it's going to open up, so it can't be D. I also know that negative 8 is the y-intercept or the starting value, so it's going to go through negative 8 on the y, so it can't be C. You could also factor this, so what multiplies to give you negative 8, negative 4, and 2, which adds to give you negative 2, so I would do x minus 4, x plus 2, and if you set them equal to 0, you get x equals 4, x equals negative 2. So I'm looking for positive 4 and negative 2, so that is B. You are also allowed to use Desmos. So let's type in x squared minus 2x minus 8. And you can click and see it crosses at negative 2 and positive 4, which matches what we got. So the answer is B. Number 8, Tyler is throwing a baseball with his dad in the backyard. The height of the ball h after t seconds can be modeled by y equals negative 16t squared plus 54x plus 4. How long is the ball in the air before it hits the ground? So the ball is going to go up and it's going to come back down, and wherever it crosses the x-axis, that is where it is hitting the ground. The x-axis represents the ground. So let's put this one in Desmos. Remember, in Desmos, you cannot use t. You need to use an x. And so how long is in the air before it hits the ground? It hits the ground at 3.4 seconds. Hits the ground at 3.4 seconds. Remember that you wouldn't click this one. That one's negative. You cannot have negative time. Number 9, suppose the function v of x equals negative 10.4x squared plus 378.5x plus 10,000 represents the total value of an investment x years after 1985. In what year does the investment have the greatest value? Greatest value means you're looking for the maximum. So let's put this one in Desmos. Negative 10.4 x squared plus 378.5x plus 10,000. Zoom out. Looking for the maximum. And there it is. There's the maximum. It says in what year. Remember, year is an x value. So the x value, if you look on Desmos right here, the x value is 18.1. So that's just 18 years. But it doesn't say how many years. It says in what year. Well, it started in 1985, so I have to add 18 to that. So that gives me 2003. 2003. So 2003 is my final answer. Last one, what is the average rate of change of f of x equals x squared plus x from x equals -1 to x equals +1? The average rate of change, remember your formula for that is y minus y over x minus x, right? Your x values are right here, -1 and 1. And I got to put parentheses around that. So I did -1 minus 1. To get your y values, you have to plug in. The first thing you do is you plug -1 in both spots. You have to do it one at a time. You can't plug them both in at the same time. You have to do one at a time. So I'm going to go to Desmos. And instead of, what you can do is you can type f of x equals x squared plus x. And then you can just tell f of x to plug in -1, and it will do it for you without you having to worry too much about typing in the right thing. So you can see that Desmos gives you 0 for that one. So the y value is 0. So when you plug in -1, you get 0. Now let's plug in +1. And you get 2. When you plug in +1, so this is your x and this is your y. X is your input, y is your output. So you get 2. Remember, it's y minus y, so I have to subtract 2. And now I'm going to do one more step. I'm going to type that into Desmos. So parentheses, 0 minus 2 divided by -1 minus 1. And I get 1. My answer is 1.